Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I would like to introduce Moises, the co-founder of Private Medical Practice Developers.
It is a pleasure to be joining. Thank you so much for allowing us to participate in this webinar. I want to be able to start sharing my screen, and then we'll take it from there, okay? And we'll get the webinar started here. Okay. So like mentioned, my name is Moises, and I'm with the Private Medical Practice Developers, and I'm glad to join this webinar, which is Profits in Beauty, Recurring Revenue Routes, Harnessing Repeat Purchases to Building Your $1 Million Empire. Now, a little bit about us. Actually, even before we get started about us, I want to talk about anybody who's joining. I want to use the analogy of the game of chess. So as we approach this webinar or other webinars, or as you are in the space of growing your practice, think about it as a game of chess. Think about which one's the most powerful player. And oftentimes I hear like it's the king, but the king is not the most powerful player. It's the one that we don't want him to die, because once he dies, then the game is over. The most powerful piece it is the queen. She can go up and down, sideways, diagonal. She can just kind of take over all of those spaces. But at the beginning of the game, she is not the most powerful piece set. And it's because of the way she's positioned. Her attributes are the same, but she's blocked. And so the most powerful piece set, some people say it's the pawn, but really at the beginning, another powerful piece set is the knight, because it can jump over and occupy eight spaces with two moves. And so the reason why I want to bring that up at the beginning is because it doesn't matter what stage you're in. Maybe you're the queen in your city. Maybe you're dominating the state or dominating the region, or maybe you just started. So you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I win the game as I'm starting? And maybe I'm a knight or a pawn, and how do we move certain things? Maybe as a queen, there's some blind spots that I can just implement into my clinic. So it depends how we're positioned. So as we discuss tips today and other webinars, it's according to where you're positioned and how this can be applied to you. In our reality, in the past few years, our systems have helped our practices grow on average over 2 million a year in revenue from simple step-by-step blueprints. So think about where you are right now. Have you hit your first million yet? Are you making over $100,000 a month in revenue? And if you've not done that, that's the first goal. Then the second goal is take you to 3 million. Then the goal after that is 10 up to 26 million, or whatever else you want it to be, and how many locations you want that to be. And so the question is, would you like to be one of them? Do you want to be one of those people that can break their first million, make over $100,000 a month with your cash-based service, with your practice? And so how do we increase that revenue? How do we make sure the patients continue to come back? So I'd like to start off with a mindset and a mindset shift, if you will, and the difference between prescribing and dispensing. And when it comes to that is, as providers, you guys as providers, you see this in the real world, which is you go to the hospital, or somebody goes to the doctor and they're prescribed medication, and they receive that prescription. They take that to the pharmacy, and the pharmacist dispenses the medication to them. Now, as a patient at the pharmacy, I can't negotiate the dosing with the pharmacist. Can you give me a 90-day supply versus a 30-day supply? Is that something you can do for me? Oh, okay, I'll do that. No, he'll say, talk to the doctor. I mean, I'm not the one writing the prescription. I'm just here dispensing. The one that's writing the prescription, I can not negotiate, but I can tell them the concerns. Hey, can you give me a 90-day supplies versus a 30-day supply? Or can you give me a higher doses or a less doses? And then together we coordinate the final prescription. And then at the end of the day, the doc prescribes what's needed. If I transfer that to our space, we here in medical aesthetics, which I've been focused on medical aesthetics over 8 years, only on medical aesthetics. The challenge that sometimes we face is that this is retail medicine. So even though it's completely medicine, meaning there's science behind it, and there's licensing required, and there's some things we got to take care of pre and post care, there's a component to retail. And that's when it becomes kind of difficult, because as a provider, you did not sign up to talk about retail or to do sales or to have those conversations. You went into the business to take care of the patient, take care of the client. But in this space, we want to be careful that the client is not giving us the prescription and we're dispensing. And so what that means is that they come in, they say, I want 20 units of on my 11s, or I want this service because I saw this on TikTok, or my friend got it done, and we go, okay, we'll do that. Or if we give them a recommendation, they go, no, I want less than that, even though we know that's not going to give them full correction or give them what they need. So we have to take control of that, and by taking control, I mean we have to own our position as prescribers, as the authority figure, and we're the ones that say, okay, let me hear what your concerns are. Let me hear your symptoms. And then from those symptoms, I'll go ahead and prescribe a roadmap for you. And so with that mindset, let's get into the consult room for a second, okay? And in the consult room, that's when we create great conversations. Now, I've had the opportunity to shadow a lot of providers across the country. And I've heard some people say, well, that was a weird consult, or that person's not very helpful. That person wasn't talking too much. And this quote always stands out to me, which is the key to great conversations is asking great questions. So learn to ask great questions. So if I'm not able to get information out of my patient or out of the client as I'm having these consults, or a roadmap, then it becomes, okay, how do I start asking things differently? What other questions can I start asking about that? Okay. And so I like to go over the concept of getting to the heart. And this is how you start getting recurring business. You see, oftentimes we just stay in a general layer or a focus layer, and the client comes in, they do the service and they leave. But if we get to the heart, not only will they come to us, they'll come back to us. And not only will they come back to us, their ticket will increase because their desire to accomplish goals will be there. Let me explain how this works, and then I'll share an example. So we first want to ask general questions. And oftentimes it is where a lot of patients or a lot of clinicians stay, which is, what are you hoping to learn from our conversation today? What brought you in today? Why are you here today? And they go, well, I saw a promotion on I'm going to use an example. A real life example that I'll utilize here is laser hair removal. I was shadowing a provider in California, and a patient came in for a consult, and we asked, what are you doing here today? She goes, I'm here for laser hair removal, upper lip and lower and my chin. Awesome. The provider wanted to move forward with that. Okay, great. We have a promotion. And it's like, no, let's slow it down. What have you done so far? What have you tried? I've tried waxing. I've tried this. I've tried that. And we became more focused in our conversation. Like, what are some of your concerns? What have you helped? What have you tried to help improve this? What has not worked? And she explained that to us. And then the provider wanted to, quick, let me move forward with a solution. I'm like, no, let's slow it down. Let's go more specific. What is it going to mean for you if you're able to get this done? And in this specific patient, she wanted that smooth skin. And we're like, okay, great. But what about having smooth skin? Like, what is your goal? And the room just kind of changed the feeling of the room. She said, you know what? I went through chemo. My hormones have changed. I didn't used to have this. And it's been about a year that I don't feel comfortable seeing myself in the mirror. So I want to be able to look at myself and feel comfortable again. And that changed the entire conversation. It was no longer about laser hair removal. It was about feeling confident in front of the mirror again. When we get to the heart, now the conversation is no longer about the service, it's about an outcome. Now it makes sense that I can talk to her about laser hair removal. I can talk to her about toxin. I can talk to her about fillers. I can talk to her about a chemical pill. I can talk about lasers. It allows me to switch over that conversation, that now I can create a roadmap versus just why did they came in. I become now a prescriber versus just a dispenser. So how do we have repeat business is that we create a clear plan. Now, here's something that I've noticed or I've learned as I shadow clinics is that most providers do create a plan. They do create a plan. They say, here's what you need, here's what you're going to do, and they do that. Here's when it starts switching. When I've seen providers that perform at a good level and those that perform at a great level. Providers that are bringing average ticket as an injector, $400 to $600 as an average ticket, or $1,200, $1,400, $1,600 as an average ticket. And this is the nugget that we want to share today is your road mapping and the conversations of your road mapping. First of all, how often do you do it? And second, how do you set it up? So let's talk about how often do you do it. You can write it down, or you can on your piece of paper, you can make a comment, however you want to do it. But think about how often should you do it, or how often is it actually taking place? In all reality, it should be taking place every single time you're speaking with your patient. So if the patient comes in, I know we do a full face analysis usually when they come in for a consult, but this should be a mini consult. So every time they come in, they're coming in for, let's say it's a follow-up. They did their toxin, and then not the follow-up 2 weeks, but they come back again in 3 months to get it done again. When they come back in 3 months again, you're saying, great, let's look at the roadmap. Aside from that, what we're doing today, if I had a magic wand, if you had a magic wand, what else can we work on? And you have like a mini consultation because we're fighting aging. We're anti-aging. So every time you meet, you want to be able to have that mini consult. The mistake that we make is that we do a one consult and then it becomes the same thing over and over. Maybe casual conversations of what could be done, but not a specific plan of what could be done. And the reason why I have this picture here as create a clear plan is because there's so many ways to do so many different things, and they have access to this information via us and via social media, that sometimes they go, do I go this route? Do I go that route? I can also do this. And even as providers, you can say, hey, there's this way we can accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. We can do it via lasers. We can do it via chemical peels. We can do it via product. It just depends how aggressive you want it or how slow you want it. But the prescription needs to be delivered by us, and the roadmap needs to be delivered by us, and it needs to be very clear. And when I say clear, it needs to be clear with what's next and the date when they're doing it. So if that's 3 months from now, if that's 4 months from now, is that a year from now? Let's at least create that plan so then we can follow up. It gives me the right and my duty now to follow up on making sure that we're meeting those timelines of that roadmap. Here's a concern I hear often. I can give them the roadmap, but then the budget. What about the budget? They may not have the budget to do that. And I completely understand and I agree with that. And here's where we have found success is keeping separated the roadmap with the budget. You don't provide a roadmap according to your budget. I would hate to sit down at a chair and say, just tell me what I need according to what I can afford. No, tell me what I need, and then I can tell you what I can afford, and I can work on how I can make money otherwise, or how do I realign my budget. But to get full correction or to accomplish the goal that I'm sharing with you as a patient, what does that roadmap look like? Give me like a guideline of the targets that I need to be hitting. So now I have something to work towards. We separate that. Now, according to my budget, I may be able to do it all at once. I may have $7,000 today that I say, you go ahead and just do it all. Today's the day. Or I may say, you know what, I have only $500 today, and then I'll come back in 3 months and I'll make sure that I rebudget some things in my personal life so I can have $700 or $1,000 next time. But as long as there's a roadmap, a clear plan, they also are empowered. We're empowering them versus just kind of minimizing my road plan according to a budget. No, here it is, and then let's work together on the budget. That's a different conversation. That's the prescriber. Give the prescription. Then let's figure out how that's implemented. That's number one. The second portion of that roadmap is how do we set it up? Here's a challenge that we face, and that is that we come in, we do the procedure, we're done. We talked about a service, we're done. We come back the next 3 months or 4 months, and we go, did you think about that filler or not yet? Okay, great, that's okay. Let's go ahead and move on to whatever they came in today, my 30 units or whatever procedure it is. Where we have seen success with our practices that we have helped them get to that $1 million a year is when they start using that roadmap conversation and they tie it to the previous meeting and to the next meeting. And I like using the example of that reality show mindset, not mindset, but the reality show connection. I know you guys are all very classy, so you guys don't watch reality shows. I watch reality shows. My favorite reality show is Survivor, and it's actually taking place right now. Plug in for Survivor if they want to have me be on the island. I'd love that. But they always go like this. Last time on Survivor, and they highlight the drama that took place. All the drama that took place. And then when Survivor ends that episode, they go next time on Survivor, and they highlight the drama that's going to happen. Now, I'm not judging. Sometimes the drama that they highlight is more dramatic in the highlight than it is in actual when you watch the show, because they kind of misplace certain things to make it look more dramatic. But guess what? They have me hooked that I can't wait till next Wednesday to look at the episode, because they gave me next time on Survivor. I can't wait to see what happens. Same thing with us. Sometimes our mistake or our challenge as clinicians is that when we say next time on Survivor, we're not going with the drama. We go, they're going to be on the island again. They're going to face a challenge, and then there's somebody's going to be voted out. And then it's like, yeah, I get it. I get the game. Give me the juice. Give me the sauce. Give me the spiciness of the game. And same thing with us. When we're speaking with clients, is about what's in it for them. What are they going to go ahead and get out of it? Like, you're not here just because of filler. Why do I want the filler? We got to the heart, right? So maybe I want the filler because I want my angles on my camera to be so amazing that people just go, wow. Maybe I want a jawline that people are so impressed. Maybe I want to look better than let's say I want to look better than my sister-in-law. I want to look younger than so-and-so. And then that becomes the goal. Let's do that. And my conversations are tied to the heart. So next time, our goal is to be able to help you have like this killer jawline so that in camera you have great angles. We're going to work on your cheeks next time. And then next time after that, we're going to work on your jawlines. But I'm so excited. The next time you're going to be able to have some cool cheeks. If that's what we're looking for, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about we're doing two syringes. That's clinical, or that's not as spicy as saying what's the outcome of those two syringes. And then when that next appointment comes, we go, last time we did da 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 da. How does that going? How are your pictures? How are the selfies? Great. This time we're going to work on X, Y, and Z. And that's the connection between last time on Survivor and this time on Survivor. Last time in our consult, this time on our consult. And if we do that constantly, it allows you to have those organic conversations of a roadmap, because every single time you're meeting, you're recapping what's happened, and you're also preparing them with what's going on next. So if you have to alter the roadmap to create a different plan because of what's happening, it's normal. It's not going to come across as salesy, because I know that sometimes the concern we have is how do I not sound salesy? And in fact, there's a slide here that I want to share is like, how do you avoid the price matching game? Because sometimes when we're talking and we're providing the roadmap, it becomes more like, well, I can't afford that, or so-and-so has this, and I saw this cheaper somewhere else. And how do you protect your margins and protect keep your integrity while still honoring and taking care of your patient? And so this is when the price, when there's a price matching game. The reality is that the tip is get out of the price matching game by providing value. So you leave the price conversation to go into the value conversation. And the way you transition into the value conversation is by speaking about what makes you stand out from the rest. Why are you over anyone else? And there's three things you should be able to credential. You should be able to credential the practice. You should be able to credential the provider, or you should be able to credential the service or the product. So anytime you're in a pricing conversation, you want to be able to tie your credentials, but it's not the credentials only on licensing or how long you've been doing how long you've been in business or how long you've been doing these services, because somebody else could match that, or maybe somebody else has a higher license than you or have been doing it longer than you. Think about what makes you stand out. Is it you do hundreds of jaws a month? Is that your expertise? You go over the natural look. I want to make sure people look natural. You've been internationally trained. You're passionate about patient care and the post care after that. You have a great customer experience and the follow up and the before and afters. And so, what makes you stand out? So my invitation to you today, in preparation to be able to do that consult of a mini consult every single time, is write down what makes you stand out. And I need you to write down for yourself and for the practice, at least for those two. Then you can write it down for each of the services. Why one service over the other? Why one toxin over the other? And you should be able to do the wow factors for them. But most importantly, you should be able to do a wow factor for you as a provider and your clinic as well. And as you're doing that, people will come back. That recurring business, that repeat business, we've seen clients increase their rebooking rate from 25, 30, 40% up to 75, 80, 85, 90% rebooking rate, just because of that reality show mindset of last time, next time, and then credentialing yourself in that process. So and another invitation that I want to share with you guys is is let's make sure that you guys keep track of your rebooking rate. If you don't know what your rebooking rate is, keep track of that. And they should be able to rebook when they leave. If they're rebooking, I'll give you a call later. When they're leaving, they rebook because they understand that next time they're going to get, and what's the sauce? What's the spiciness that they don't want to live without? Okay. Comments or questions? Let me, any comments or questions that have come in?
So I have one here. What if pricing's an issue? What's the best way to have that conversation about pricing with a client?
Okay, that's a great question. So there's two, I want to give two answers to that. When I'm having a conversation with pricing and we start falling into that matching game, if you will, I like I just mentioned, we want to separate ourselves from the pricing game by talking about value. Now, when it becomes more of an objection, I should say, when it becomes more of an objection, then we do handle the objection. In fact, we have a webinar specifically for overcoming objections. But what we want to do is we want to investigate what's the concern about pricing. Usually when there's a concern about pricing, it's pricing versus value, meaning they don't think it's worth it. I mean, obviously there's going to be people that just can't afford a service. Like they can't afford a Ferrari. They can't afford that type of car. But if they're trying to match, if you're within that price gap and they're just trying to see, why are you higher than somebody else? The real concern is, am I going to get my outcome? Is the value there? Is it worth it for me? I mean, I've tried a lot of things. Is this going to work out? And so there's a validation that I like to use, and I encourage my providers to use, which is you thank them. Thank you so much for asking that question. And this is the validation I use before I go into any type of solution, any type of discovery. But I use this specific script. It makes complete sense that you want to make sure you're getting the value out of every dollar spent. Did I get that right? And I make that statement because then they're going to say yes. And I hear the yes often. And now what I've done is that I've shifted the mindset of saying, it's not about the price that you worry about. It's about the value of the dollar that you're spending. Let me tell you now why the value. So I'm not so much talking about the price, but I'm talking about the value. And then there's other ways that we can do. We can minimize pricing by expanding it, by breaking it out. But that's a whole other conversation that we'd love to join and talk specifically about how to overcome objections, the top 10 objections in our industry, pricing being one of them.
That's great. And there's one more here. I find it difficult to book the next appointments. Do you have tips on how to land that next appointment to get the consult?
Thank you for sharing that question. I appreciate you being vulnerable and saying, hey, this is a challenge for me. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to ask a couple of questions, answer my own questions just because of the nature of the webinar. But the question I would ask is, are you asking for the return appointment and they're saying no? Are we forgetting to ask and that's why we're not booking it? Do we feel weird asking for the next appointment? And so I'm going to answer all of them, okay? Because I'm not sure what space we're in. So if we're forgetting to ask it or we don't know how to bring it up, that's great. The way that I would bring it up is by simply saying, great, next time we're going to go ahead and work on that, finish up that jawline like we discussed. You can enjoy your pictures or you can do whatever it is. Or if it's clear skin, we want to work on minimizing some of those wrinkles. So I'm going to get you booked. Ideally, to get optimal results, we get you booked within the next 3 months so that you can stay on point. And so my next availability is in the next 3 months is going to be done. Okay. And then you give them options. Now, if you are passing the baton to the front desk and you're not booking it yourself, but somebody else is booking it for you, the key for that is don't send them on their own. Avoid sending the patient on their own saying, okay, come back in 3 months, I'll see you. And then they walk out the door or they pay at the front desk and leave. And then it's the front desk job to say, hey, do you want to book in 3 months? It's not an option for the 3 months. So you come up to the desk and you say, hey, you say to the patient in front of the front desk, you go, okay, great. I'm so excited. I'll see you in 3 months so we can take care of that for you. And then you turn to the front desk and you say, I want to see them in 3 months. Okay. Okay, great. See you then. And you walk out. And now the front desk simply goes, awesome. Okay. So 3 months from now and they carry the baton. You're the one with the authority. So you pass on the authority to the front desk and the front desk now go ahead and books the appointment. Okay. If the last observation about having a hard time booking the appointment, they push back. They say, I got to look at my calendar. I'll let you know. We go, you know what, makes complete sense. You want to make sure you're available for the appointment. What we can do is that let's go ahead and put you on the books for the next 3 months so we can solidify that. My goal is to make sure you get optimal results. So I'm going to book you in 3 months. That way you also get a reminder. And if you need to change it, just give us a call back. We can rearrange it. But I'd rather you be on our books so we can make sure that we're taking good care of you and you can get the optimal results. Okay. So in 3 months from now, what I'll have you put, I'll put you at this date. And once again, if you have to reschedule, just let us know. That's how I would say it. Something like that. The key component to that phrase is, I want to take good care of you. I want to make sure you get optimal results. I want to make sure that you have access to an appointment with me so that we can continue on this roadmap. That's the key component there.
There's one more. It says, I'm new to owning my aesthetic business. What is the best way to deal with clients who want a service I don't offer yet without losing their entire business?
Okay. That's a great question. So once again, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, answer my own questions, and address them. Okay. How soon are you going to get that other service? Okay. If you're not going to get it at all, then who can I partner with so that it's kind of like you do this here and then you go and get that done there. But I already have a relationship with that other clinic that they're not going to keep you there. They're going to send you back here and we can kind of collaborate together. That would be one way to do it. The other, if it's coming in soon, you can say, you know what, we're so excited that we're actually bringing that on board. What I can do is in preparation to get to that point, how about we get you this done and this done and this, kind of like pre-work, if that makes sense, before the main service, if that's possible. If you are going to refer them to somebody else, then make sure that you're providing them a service that keeps them constantly with you, whether it's 6 weeks, whether if it's facials, for example, 6 weeks or every other month, but that you're constantly bringing them over. And because you're new to the business, a great way to keep clients with you, even if they go and get services elsewhere, is membership programs, loyalty or membership programs, because they're investing in you on a monthly basis. They're putting cash away to spend with you. So yeah, they may go somewhere else for a service, but they know that all their other treatments are with you. So I would consider maybe having a loyalty program or a membership program, and that could keep them long term. If you guys have questions and you want to have, if there's more of a conversation you want to have in more detail, please schedule a call with us. Shoot me a message. You'll have we'll put that on the link on how to contact me, and I'd be glad to jump on a call with you guys and answer any additional questions you guys have and be a resource for you. And I'm excited to be able to join next webinar, another webinar, and share some more nuggets with us here in the industry. Thank you so much, guys, for joining and taking the time today.